This video is part 2 of a video series I'm putting together documenting the process of building your own backyard pond. In part 1 I went over how I went about digging out this pond just using a basic shovel. Now I'm going to be laying down the underlayment, which goes before the pond liner. The underlayment will protect the pond liner from any rocks, roots, or other sharp objects that may still be present. Both the underlayment and the pond liner are 15 by 20 feet, which is appropriate for this size pond, which is 11 by 7 feet. This is going to allow us for a bit of wiggle room. We're going to have some excess material, which is good because you want these materials to overlap over the pond's edge about 2 feet. Both the underlayment and the pond liner I picked up over at Amazon, and I'll throw some links below this video so you can go check those out if you'd like. On a pond this size, one person can easily install the underlayment and the pond liner. The main thing is that you situate both materials in a way so that you have the longest end pointed in the longest direction of the pond. From there, it's just a matter of unfolding these materials and installing them in the pond in an orderly fashion. Having a bit of patience at this stage pays off big time. You want the underlayment to lay nice and flat and form nicely into the pond. This can be accomplished with a series of crease and overlaps throughout the bends and turns. Any excess material beyond that 2-foot overlap we're looking to accomplish can be cut off and removed and repositioned to double up more precarious areas in the pond, or used to create a root pouch or a pot around some of the plants that you want to install in your pond. While you're working with the underlayment, it's good to place some rocks around that edging to keep everything in place. A good gust of wind could blow things out of position. And it's important to note that at this stage you should already have all your rocks and boulders on hand ready to go. Well, that was easy. Now let's go ahead and install the pond liner. This is a high quality 40mm EPDM rubber that's safe for fish and UV resistant. I highly recommend not skimping on your pond liner and getting a cheaper material. The process for installing the pond liner is basically the same as the underlayment. The only difference is the pond liner is much heavier, so it takes a bit more finesse and patience in order to get everything in position without disturbing the underlayment. Once again, a series of crease and folds around the turns and bends is how you're going to get that pond liner to lay in nice and flat. If anything, you don't want things too tight. You want to leave a little bit of excess liner. That way when you fill the pond with many gallons of water, it's not going to tug on the liner in any way and stretch it out. And there we go, things are really coming along now. Now I'm skipping ahead a bit here and showing you some of the rocks that I've been laying into the pond, because it was at this point that I had realized that I had made an error. I forgot to install a fish cave in this pond, which is crucially important as I'll be introducing some comet goldfish into this system. I'm just glad I realized it now instead of later. To create the fish cave, I'll be using a 5-gallon planter. And obviously this cave needs to have the underlayment and the liner go underneath it, so I should have had this done prior to the install of these materials. That's okay, everything works out as you'll see. When installing the fish cave, I'm installing it on the southern side of the pond, so northern facing. That way the midday sun doesn't shine into the cave. Fish really do need a place to hide out in case there is a threat, or they just need to get out of the sun, or even to sleep. So this step should never be overlooked if you're going to have fish in your pond. So now I got everything dug, just checking the fit. That's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to try to reinstall this underlayment and the pond liner. The underlayment is much more forgiving. I don't want to do any stretching of the pond liner, however, so I'm going to have to do some resituating of that liner to get everything to fit in there nicely. Alright, so I got the underlayment and the pond liner reinstalled, and the fit is good. And I decided to add in a few of these pond rocks underneath the fish cave just to make it more level. So the fish cave will be unnoticeable and disguised after placing some rocks over the top of it, so I'm using a more flat rock out of my selection of different stones. And we're running out of daylight here, but here's what we got done for this evening, and we'll put it off till tomorrow. And here's where we ended up. So I've still got a little bit more rock work to do around the entrance of the cave, but that's looking good. Everything's now installed, and we're ready to move on to rocking up the pond. And that's going to be in part 3. I'm going to go over all about rocking the pond, where to get rocks, what kind of rocks, and some different techniques for placing the rocks in the pond to give it the most natural look. I hope you'll join me for that video, which will be coming up shortly, or perhaps it's already live, depending on when you're watching this. So with that, I want to thank you all for tuning in today, and I'll be talking to you again soon. Take care.